Yeah, so having some thoughts, man. I want to come on here and come talk to some people. Just try to do a follow up, man, about understanding contracts and laws and how they are both made and created. And this is all about the definition and the construct and the design. You got to look at the definition, the construct, and the design. Don't forget that. Them the three elements, man, that I pay attention to. It's literally how contracts are made and created by the construction of it, by the definition of it, and the meaning, the definition, the meaning, the construction, and the design. Man, them are important key elements, though. So here we go, right? I look at it like this. This is the best way to explain it. If I was going to tell my child how to stay out of getting themselves into some trouble, I would tell them the best way that I know how to tell them. So we're speaking in the means of getting into business, some kind of business or whatever. How they would get themselves involved into some kind of business. So you have to mind your own, really. But in the sense of that we talking about contracts, we got to break it down in another understanding. So to go and say to my child, if I don't want them to get into any trouble or any type of business that they wouldn't knowingly, I don't want to use the word knowingly for that, to get themselves involved into some type of business without knowing that I guess it would be knowingly, unknowingly doing so, unknowingly. So if they did this unknowingly, how to avoid these things? It's just simple. You can't be lied to if I'm trying to teach and tell you if you're my child. So I just want you to follow this concept. If you're trying to tell the same thing to your child about how to avoid and stay out of trouble and get themselves involved into some type of business that might do some harm or damage to them, and get them in trouble or whatever. So just to be, simple put and said, well, if you are doing some kind of business, always write down everything so that you get a clear understanding of it. And once you wrote it down, you got a clear understanding of it. You comprehend everything 100%. You are the person that are involved in this, whatever the business is or whatever the type of dealing you're having, whether it's a relationship or whatever. There's going to be a meeting of the minds and understanding. You ain't just going to end up being in a relationship with nobody if you don't sit down and have some type of meeting with them and then getting that understanding. So definitely, what we're doing, we agreeing to things here. We all having a meeting of the minds. We all having an understanding. We ain't just doing something because somebody else said it and want us to do it. Force somebody to be in a relationship with you then. See how that works. No, they don't work like that. But see, this me telling this to my child, and my child gonna grow up to know that this is how it works with any and everything that they come involved with in life. As long as they ain't doing no harm now, because we gonna focus on that. Do no harm. That's our main focus. We ain't doing no harm. Because we don't want no harm to come back to us. So, no kind of harm. No emotional harm to nobody, no physical harm to nobody, no financial harm to nobody, and so forth. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna stick to that, and that's all we need to worry about in life. And if everybody did that, man, if everybody had just that one word is to do no harm, and there won't be no trouble for nobody. If I look at it like this, it seems like government might be the problem. They are the problem that create the problem. Because if we all just had understanding, like, man, just don't do no harm. We ain't got to worry about speeding, cause nobody that, well, it might be, but if you cause some harm, though, you know the consequences to that. As long as you know that if you do anything to cause some harm to somebody or their property, you gonna have a problem, for real, for real. But it's a whole lot of things, though, where there ain't no victim involved. There ain't no harm done to nobody. And this is where you get to being involved in some type of business. How do you get there? Get involved in some type of business? That's how I said it to my child. If I'm talking to my child, you better write it down, get a clear understanding of what you get involved with, make sure that you understand it, and whoever it is that you're having this conversation with to try to get this understanding. If you're doing some type of business, you definitely want to write it down. Make sure that you understand it. You and the person is on the same page. Y'all agree to everything that got wrote down, and then y'all sign it and go get it documented. Notarized or whatever. However you want to do that, go get it documented. And that's how contracts work. That's how government laws work. Because somebody somewhere sat down and discussed some things and they agreed on it. They wrote them down too. They definitely wrote them down because then they published it, put it in black and white, and say, man, everybody agreed to this. Everybody who? That was for the business that y'all had going. Whatever policies y'all was trying to run for the paycheck that y'all make. I don't make no paycheck out of that, whatever y'all thinking of. That ain't got nothing to do with me. You can't force me to believe that that's how they're working. That got something to do. Because if you forcing me to believe it, telling me that that's how it works, I just have to believe it. Trust me, it's forced. Because when you pull that gun, it's forcing me to believe that. Whether I think differently or not, you going to force me to believe that. And guess what that is? You done took away everything that's supposed to be like God. You done took a man away life in the pursuit of happiness. You done took away his religion and his beliefs. His personal religion and beliefs. Now it just is mind-boggling that people don't grasp this thought, man, easily and naturally. Well, I can understand why. It started when you went to school and got indoctrinated. You ain't go to learn nothing. You had to go and go get taught something about the system and not to use the, you know what? It's a crime to the brain. Because the brain is so unique that it can expand to think and go far beyond what you can do if you can control it. If you can control the mind, if you can control that, make people think. So that's what the school came for. From being just a child, you had no business trying to. We all got to learn how to read, write, spell, and add, subtract. You know what I'm saying? To understand some things like that, I guess, to get by. In our personal lives, in our personal private lives, that comes naturally just being at home, though. That comes naturally, being at home. But it's far more and beyond than that because the schooling system is designed to indoctrinate you, to control the mind. Don't make the mind think out far the scope of what they're being told and taught. They're being trained and programmed to think and say, everything in this world, everybody know the same thing and think the same thing. And, see, I'm the type of person that open up a box of crayons and I look at every individual color. I like, well, I don't know. Because somebody else said that that's what color it was. It might not even be that color. It might not even be that color that was. I'm just thinking, I look at some numbers. I'm looking like that might not even represent what that number is. How I know 1, 2, and 3 represent 1, 2, and 3. They might not be either one. And, it might be a whole nother term to them. But somebody said it, they made it up, and whatever happened, they did. And then, I'm just the type of person think outside the scope. Like, this might not be green. This might not be, the number 4, and so forth and so on about everything. Because I'm knowing people just, they coming up with their own thoughts and ideas, and that's how things work. You come up with it, you write it down, you know what I'm saying, with a contract too. And that's how you create whatever you want to create and agree upon it. But when it comes to government doing this, is what I'm trying to get at now. Because this is a conspiracy, because this is a known thing that's being done. It's a knowingly thing by government that they do. Trust me, when I say knowingly, I mean just that. Now, the average Joe Schmo going to work, being an officer or somebody working in some type of government agency, they might not be fully disclosed of what's happening, and they might not know, but they done seen a lot of insane and absurd things happening while they was on the job. The people that was coming in, or either, whatever type of code or statute that they done broken the policies, man, they done seen so much jive turkeyness where they know it wasn't nobody that really got harmed. It wasn't a person. I tell you that. So that's how I know for a fact, all across this United States, these people that are working in these agencies saying some absurd things that when there was no crime done to an actual person, but they still had to end up being fined and jailed as if it was, something wrong with the actual person. But that's another part of the discussion right there, because, now not only are you stepping outside the scope of contracts, it's a conspiracy. Conspiracy to deprive, manipulate, and rape you of your life, freedom, and liberty. How you scared in the open world of what they might do to you if you don't act like you programmed. Stay programmed. And that's the thing, stay programmed. Once you get out here and be adult, you better stay programmed. Because if not, then more likely where you're gonna end up at. Jail or hell in their book, because that's where they want you. If you ain't doing anything by their book. So I'm guessing if you ain't getting into no trouble and you start preaching and doing the things that I'm doing, I ain't really no preacher, but I'm start just, making videos and YouTube things and whatever else I can, TikTok and so forth, about the crimes and the manipulation and conspiracy of the government, man. I mean, it's been going on for a very, very, very long time. And it's just time for people to start using common sense, man. And another thing, we got a right to assemble. Did you? Well, definitely, you got a right to everything, but you got a right to assemble. And that assembly could be something positive. That assembly can be whatever you want, but you got a right to assemble. You have a right to do that. You definitely do. And that's if you want to have a concert or whatever have you. You have a right to assemble and make the town honor your gathering for whatever time and date that you're gonna have it, because you have a right to assemble to do whatever it is amongst you and a group of people that's attending this assembly. Yep, you have a right to assemble, man. So when you can do that, you can come up with things to approach, these government agencies, man, and, put them on notice about some things. You bounce ideas off those type of people's heads, and, and y'all come up with strategies and solutions to write out, I say like to put something on record. Notice, some type of notice, something, but put that on their record, man. That you can figure out what the crime is from the very start. Y'all been operating out of doing business, making contracts and agreeing to sign on them, writing off on them, and ain't got nothing to do with me. I'm nowhere around you. Ain't no way something like that got nothing to do with me. You can write down whatever you want, man. As long as I ain't there writing it down with you and I'm signing my name to it, man, miss me with that. Bring the paperwork on to show me that whenever anything got made and created by the government, as far as everything that they got, statutes and codes, whatever, bring them all to show me the date that it got made, created, put into effect, and set out here. Ain't had nothing to do with me. I wasn't around, period, when none of that happened. They was doing that, man, in the disclosed place, and they only invited a certain few. And they always do, and there's just been like this since the beginning of time, since history. This is what they do. Sad case, man. But I ain't going out without a fight, and I know for sure I ain't gonna let anybody that's following me go out without a fight, because I'm gonna spell it out. They're gonna be able to get the footage, go about their business, take it wherever they're gonna take it, and I'm gonna be still looking at keeping this shoot in.